Hello. I would like to make a video because I feel that I may have come up with a way to end all suffering for humanity. I have no education in the field, or I have no title or nothing like that. I'm just somebody who has gone through the suffering myself, and how or whatever happened, how I made it through the process of that, I would like to share. And I feel that if I share my story and what I did and how I made it through everything, I feel it might help somebody who might be facing similar situation. But at the same time, I'm not saying that this is the way or anything. It's just maybe this could be a starting point to understand how suffering works in our life, and then make changes accordingly. So my suffering came from me being prosecuted twice and getting convicted. I was falsely incarcerated twice. While I was going through the experience, there were times where I just thought about giving up. Just wanted to end it all. And I am a parent, so that responsibility of being a parent kind of makes it hard to just selfishly just take yourself out. But there was no hope. There was no hope of me coming back. But then there was something inside of me, start seeing something different. Like there was always something coming up. The biggest thing was where I was incarcerated. I was in a solitary confinement, but the area where I was, there were former police officers and detectives and attorneys. So I told them about my case, and they kind of told me, well, get this, and we'll check it out. So that kind of stuff always gave me hope. And then once I started getting the documents and you start seeing the evidence and stuff, and then you get excited when you find some new evidence and you want to do a motion to the court. All that kept me going, kept helping me move forward. And at the same time, we were discovering so much new information. And I really don't want to talk about all that information. This video is I just want to talk about how you can be free of any situation. Um, Last incident, I was incarcerated for 3.5 years. When after jury found me not guilty, I was released. I looked for help, because I was given no assistance. Like the first time, I was just thrown out. First time I was incarcerated for 19 months. I won some money, but I never saw any of it. Yeah, I don't want to talk about all that stuff again. So, my experience led me looking for help because I was really full of anger. I just wanted help. So, when I didn't find anything out there, I started kind of like looking for a way by myself. And what I did was I kind of like went backwards in my life, kind of like took it apart. What led me to these things, how I came to be here in this position. So, what I did was I kind of saw that our earth is like divided into different sections, right? And depending on what section you're born into, you start believing those things, believing certain things that are just kind of like a program, and they stay with you for the rest of your life. And I kind of never looked at it and figure out if that is true, or never looked at it and never looked see why it is that we believe certain things about ourselves. Now, I am not attacking any belief systems. I respect everybody. I love everybody. This is just something that I personally experience. And I'm not saying that it's going to work for anybody. I'm just sharing my story. So, one of the things that I highly relied on was God. And I was looking for Him. And it wasn't just good enough for me to just believe something, just believe it. It wasn't doing anything for me. So when I started searching, I was like, how can there be so many gods? And how can they all be saying that they are the truth? It's kind of complicated to talk about God. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, or again, I'm just sharing my experience. And if I sound a little funny, I'm recovering from a sinus infection, so I sound a little funny right now. I was in search for God. So I said to myself, well, what came first? God or people? The answer is God, of course. And then I asked myself, what would be first, language or God? And again, I decided it would be God. So I thought to myself that when God or our Creator, whoever created us, they must have communicated with us somehow. So I thought about it, and then I thought to myself, maybe God gave us a language. Our Creator gave us all a language that is common to all of us, no matter what section of earth we are on. Every living thing, I felt like every living thing was given this language. And to me, it seems like whatever words we're speaking that like affect something, it kind of like referring to the language that we are all born with, that's common to all of us. Again, this is my interpretation. This is something that helped me to get through my situation. So I started thinking about it, and I think that our emotions is like a language that God gave to all living things. So, like if you think of all the positive things, all the positive emotions, that would bring us closer to God, right? Because it says God is love. So if you feel love, and in that, if you hold that feeling of love, then you're in presence of God. Because that's what it feels like to be in presence of God, all positive things. So I kind of created this scale, and I just put these different emotions that people feel without, there's an emotion connected to these words. Basically, what I put up here was like the fruit of the Spirit, right? Because we're supposed to judge by their fruits, judge them by their fruits. So if we are feeling the fruit of the spirits, we are in presence of God. And whenever anybody is talking to any kind of God, they have to be referring to these emotions. that we all feel. I think we all feel them the same way. I think love feels the same way it feels here in America than it does other part of the world, wherever. It feels the same way. We just call it by different names, right? But it's the feeling is the same thing. So here is the real, like, the real step to end all suffering. You know how somebody says something good about you and you feel all good, all high, you go up to these positive feelings, and then if somebody says something bad, you go down to all these negative feelings, right? So this thing, this consciousness, whatever you want to call it, your awareness, it's like the people on the outside affect it, and it's constantly going up and down. And most people, when I was in the situation that I was facing, I was stuck in these negative emotions, right? And so, you know how I say, judge them by their fruits? So when you're in these negative state of mind, your actions are negative, right? This is an interpretation for myself. I'm not saying for you. I'm just saying what I understood for myself. So if we can learn to not allow our awareness to go up and down here, and keep ourselves up here no matter what happens on the outside, that, I believe, can end all human suffering. If we can teach people how to stay in higher awareness, right? And the way to first step I understood was to learn to control our mind, like whenever we start, I just started throughout the day just checking myself, where am I at on this scale? If I was feeling negative, I know that I was down here, and all I had to do was bring myself back up here. So how do you do that? How do you bring yourself up here when you're really feeling down here? Love feels the same to everybody. So basically what I put up here was like the fruit of the spirit, right? Because we're supposed to judge by their fruits, judge them by their fruits. So if we are feeling the fruit of the spirits, we are in presence of God. And whenever anybody is talking to any kind of God, they have to be referring to these emotions that we all feel. I think we all feel them the same way. I think love feels the same way it feels here in America than it does other part of the world, wherever. It feels the same way. We just call it by different names, right? But it's the feeling is the same thing. So here is the real, like, the real step to end all suffering. You know how somebody says something good about you and you feel all good, all high, you go up to, these positive feelings. And then if somebody says something bad, you go down to all these negative feelings, right? So this thing, this consciousness, whatever you want to call it, your awareness, it's like the people on the outside affect it, and it's constantly going up and down. And most people, when I was in the situation that I was facing, I was stuck in these negative emotions, right? And so, you know how I say, judge them by their fruits? So when you're in these negative state of mind, your actions are negative, right? This is an interpretation for myself. I'm not saying for you. I'm just saying what I understood for myself. So if we can learn to not allow our awareness to go up and down here, and keep ourselves up here no matter what happens on the outside, that, I believe, can end all human suffering. If we can teach people how to stay in higher awareness, right? And the way to first step I understood was to learn to control our mind. I just started throughout the day just checking myself. Where am I at on this scale? If I was feeling negative, I know that I was down here, and all I had to do was bring myself back up here. So how do you do that? How do you bring yourself up here when you're really feeling down here? Love feels the same to everybody. Well, you know how it says, judge them by their fruits, right? So I think every person's actions are like seeds that they're spreading by speaking and doing the things that they're doing. If their actions cause positive emotions, they're doing God's work. If their actions cause negative emotions, of course, they're trying to keep you away from God. They're working for the force that's trying to keep you away from God. Judge them by their fruits. So when we so-called die, that is our harvest season, because we can only take with us what is heavenly treasures. And what do we harvest? we harvest all the positive emotions that we have versus all the negative emotions we have. That's the only thing we can take with us, right? And I like the game. I like the game that everything is forcing us to pull us away from God's presence. And the game is to, no matter what you see out here, no matter what happens out here, you stay positive and stay in presence of God. We have to kind of talk about this to like maybe clarify it more. So what I did was I created a little exercise that I do whenever I feel like that I'm not in presence of God. And for this, I realized that I didn't need nothing. Nobody else didn't need any special teaching. Nothing. It's just between me and my Creator. You know? Because we came here alone and we're gonna leave here alone. So how about we get comfortable with ourselves a little bit, get to know ourselves. That's how I felt. Get to know ourselves and get to know the one that carries us forward after we pass away. I reference a lot of things out of the Bible because I was raised a Christian. But I believe that you can judge it by its fruit. The teaching, you take the teaching and you judge it by its fruit. Is it causing a positive emotion in you? Is it causing positive things in you? Is it causing separations? Because God is not going to create something to cause separation. God is not going to create something that's going to cause suffering. Because He's love. He's not going to require you to suffer. The suffering is kind of like taught to us by this world. And it's our choice how we react. We can take anything and turn it positive. Okay? I know there's a lot of evil out there, but God has a plan for all of it. So I know I can't do anything. I don't have power over anybody. The only thing I have power over is how I react. How I react to the things that are put in front of me. I'm not perfect. I fall a lot. But I'm working on it. And I want to move forward in it. I want to learn more about it. So here's a little exercise that I do to stay positive. It says that if you try to save your life, you will lose it. But if you lose your life, you will save it. It's kind of a riddle. But deep down inside, it makes sense because what we are and who we are doesn't end here, like, right? Because it says that God knew you before you were born. So here's the exercise that I do whenever I feel like I'm being pulled down into the negative state of mind, emotions. I just sit down and I kind of put my arms around myself and then I bring myself into God's presence by just raising the emotion of love in me. I close my eyes and I think to myself, who am I holding right now? Because it says, God knew you before you were born. I think to myself, how is that possible? You know, I didn't have this body. I didn't have this mind before I was born. So what was it that God knew before I was born? And the easier one is says that when we pass away from this life, we go to heaven. I've been to many funerals. I see that the person's body is buried or burnt. Yet everybody says, oh, now they're in heaven. And it also says that yes, after you pass away, you go to heaven or the other place that they say. What is it? What am I holding when I'm hugging myself? It says, greater is he who's in me than the one that's out in this world. And I try to feel him that's in me, that's gonna kind of like after this world is gone, he's gonna continue. So I was like, why wait till that day happens where I'm forcefully taken out of this body? Why not get to know the one that's gonna continue on? Why not know him now? And after doing this for a while, I just come to realization my real identity is not defined by this world. I realized that I'm not of this world. I came here and I will leave. So whatever little games that are happening around me to keep me or try to take me out of the presence of God, they don't work on me anymore. I don't know if it's the wrong thing to say, but I would gladly, if it didn't cause any harm to anybody, I would gladly surrender this real estate that has caused me so much pain. I have already surrendered. I've already surrendered. And then you feel free. It's a true freedom. Don't have to get involved with all the labels, because all that does is create separation, and nobody really sits down and investigate anything. There are a lot of things that I can say, but it's like I don't want to say that this is what you're going to experience, but this is my experience. You have to get your own experience, how it'll come for you, and that will depend on how many labels that you believe that you are. Like when it says, in order to enter kingdom of heaven, you must be born again. To be born again is to, in my interpretation, is that scale that I was showing you, the emotional scale, you need to reset it. You need to reset it and take off all the labels that are keeping you in a certain state of mind. That's how I say you a lot, but I don't mean it like in a way that you need to do this or something like that. It's just I don't know. I just keep on saying you, but what I really mean is, that's how I'm trying to tell you what I was going through, but it's really about me. So to be born again, let me put it another way, and this is what I think I put in my book. I put it in my book this way. When you're born, you have two bags with you. In one bag goes all the food and makes your body all grow. In the other bag, you get all your experiences and all the experiences and all the labels that that create separations. If you look at what I did was I looked at myself, and I looked at all the labels that I used to either judge my situation or judge other people. When you were born, you didn't have all these labels on you. So take off all the labels and be still and know yourself. That's the process that when we're first born, we're not given an opportunity to get to know ourselves, how we function, how everything works for us. And nobody really even teaches us about our controlling our mind. It didn't happen to me. How you need to control your mind, how the emotions, how to not allow emotions to change your state of mind, or control your state of mind. And because I believe in our natural state of mind, without all the labels, without all the judging, we automatically rise to the higher consciousness, higher awareness, and become closer to God. And then once we are in that state of mind, then maybe we can really have a relationship with God, and we can hear His words. As long as we have all these labels on us, it kind of hinders us from being able to hear Him. I have nothing against anybody anymore, because I feel bad for them. They're all victims of their circumstances. The people that did evil things to me, they were just doing all that because they thought that doing those things to me makes them feel better. I feel bad for them, because all they did was put themselves further away from God. So I don't want to talk about too much of my experience. I would like to, if you feel that I'm worthy enough to conversate with me, please do. Ask me questions. And I'm not gonna answer in the comments area. I'm gonna make a video if I feel the question helps us to move forward. I want to help. I want to help as many people as I can. There are 3 projects that I would like to investigate, and maybe you guys can help me do that. We can talk about 3 projects, and it's really to I feel like that we need to secure humanity. We gotta make sure that humanity survives. I know there's a lot of people, that have written off humanity, but we can still save it. So there's 3 projects that I would like to work on, or try to investigate and see, just bring it to awareness, kind of. First one is that why can't we create a floor for humanity that we would not allow anybody to fall under that? The floor that guarantees everybody a way of surviving, humanity. I'm not talking about going out there and handing things out or anything like that. What I want to do is that I want to identify the foundational trades that are needed to secure humanity, like trades that people can do on their own without the help of AI or any like big machinery or whatever, to allow people to be able to earn their living, right? Those little trades. And we should like consider making laws to protect those trades. So if all system goes down, we have something that we will not fall below, you know. We should be able to grow our food. We should be able to make our clothes and our daily stuff that we need, like be able to build homes and be able to build shelters. It doesn't have to be like homes. And we can teach that to people. Not everybody, I feel like not everybody's made for the corporate world. We have to do stuff with our own hand and, learn to grow food and some small animals, learn to take care of them, how it works, and I want to open an organization that teaches people the foundational living for humanity, that if all systems fail, we still be okay. Second project is about water. We have water that's going into the ocean, right? And at the same time, we hear about we got this river drying up or that river drying up, this lake is dried up. I think as human beings, I think we can conserve that water. If we take where there's a lot of flooding and water that's going into the ocean, we can reroute some of that water to fill these drying lakes, drying rivers. Because I feel like these dried up lakes and rivers, they kind of could have act like a radiator does for a car, to cool off the earth. I don't see why we can't. It's a lot of money that we would have to spend. It's not profitable, but it secures humanity. We can take some of that water and fill up the aquifers that are drying up. We can take that water, fill up the lakes, the rivers. But water is just allowed to just go into the ocean. I mean, I'm sure there's some species or something like that are dependent on that, but there's a lot more species that require water. For humanity itself, we need water. So I want to see if there's a way for us to take this water and start filling up the lakes and the rivers that are drying up. The third project is kind of weird and people might laugh at me for this one. But I was thinking that what if we learned how to live underwater, create housing, and create cities underwater. The reason why I say that is because if we can master that, if we can become professional, or develop the technology to do that, then we can use that technology, put rockets on it, and we can go out into space, and we can colonize space. So we have to start somewhere. If we have a housing problem here, why not try to figure out how we can live in an enclosed environment, and just in case we need to leave this earth because there's a asteroid that's going to come and take out the whole planet, or some volcano that decides it's going to take out every so yeah, let me know what you think about my projects. We can discuss them in the comments. Okay, I think that's everything. Thank you for listening to me.